What's up guys, it's Seki, your pal behind the screen, back again to tell you another RPG horror story. The user of this story has asked to remain anonymous. This story is titled, Party Only Cares When I Roll Dice. So about 3 months ago, I was invited to join a 5e homebrewed online campaign. This will be my first game after a 13-year drought. The reasons for that are a horror story for another time. And I talked with the DM beforehand. He was going to run a lighter tone game, no end of the world or horrific moral dilemmas. It would start with us tracking down cursed items that had been sold by a pair of con men and go from there. Session 0 and 1 went by great, with myself and 2 others. I play a tiefling barbarian doing a coming of age quest who's tracking down the origins of a cursed artifact that his tribe stole. One player is a tabaxi rogue who's part of a failed coup from a few nations over who got their goods from the con men, and a human fighter who's a guardsman investigating the con men. Session 2 comes along and we're joined by a kobold bard who's been backtracking a cursed item his village had gotten a hold of, and a tabaxi sorcerer who was fleeing a group of bandits who had stolen one of the items we were after. Session 3 is where the issue started. We track down the bandits and fight our way to the captain, who's been possessed by a cursed sword. We collect a nice bounty and rest in town before continuing on. Now the DM had set up side channels so that if the group splits apart or wants to have just any character banner during downtime between sessions, we can do it without cluttering the main channels. The other 4 immediately split into 2 groups and split off into other channels. Sucks, but we're a group with odd numbers. Sometimes these things happen. Except that's been the way things have been going ever since. The party has all great camaraderie amongst themselves, except for my character. His ideas are usually discarded or ignored. He's the youngest of the group and has an int of 10. Next closest is the fighter and the rogue at 14. And anytime the part needs to split off in a session or breaks up after a session, he's left alone holding the bag, often literally. Last week was session 10, and when I had him try to accompany the rogue and sorcerer, he was like, "What are you doing? Watch the caravan." Not gonna lie, I just logged out and haven't checked the channel since. At this point, it's been over a month where the only meaningful in-character interaction my character has had is with NPCs, barring one moment where he had to sit on the kobold to warm him up in a blizzard. All I really do is roll dice and sit there. I don't think the sorcerer has ever actually responded to anything my character has done outside of combat. Part of me wants to think it's not malicious and it's just bad in-character party chemistry, but I'm honestly wondering if I should just message the DM and bow out in the next town, because I spend more time watching everyone else have fun and watching YouTube than actually getting to do anything. If I wanted to just roll dice and sit there, I could play a board game. Now usually at this part of the video I would offer my thoughts on the story, but the next story is written by the same user, kind of like an update or part 2 from the same group of people that they're playing with, so I'll just save it to the end. The next story is called DM Runs Major Plot Session Without 40% of the Party, Possibly Breaks the Group. So this is the same group from last post. Since I had talked to the DM about how I felt, he took it to heart for the next session. We had some time off for the 4th of July and the DM was sick another time, when the rest of the party clearly were intending to spend another session in town amongst themselves. The DM had the quest giver get sick of waiting to and head out to the rift we were investigating, announcing if they didn't follow along with me and the NPC they needed to move to the out of character room. Naturally they decided to follow the plot. We go through the rift and land on a bunch of floating remains of islands with ruined cities on them, all seemingly from different eras. We investigate the islands, find some clues, and come across some glibbering mouthers attacking a house. After combat that lasted way longer than it should have, I never seen a party fail so many DC saving throws in a row. We beat the mouthers, enter the house, find a strange survivor. Session ends there for the night. Now it's important to note the party lives in 3 different time zones. Most of the party is in US East, I am in UK time, and the rogue is in Eastern European time. So I'm 5 hours ahead of the DM and 3 party members, and he's 2 hours ahead of even me. I wake up the next day when I finally hop online. There are lots of roles and other posts in various in-character channels and out-of-character note rooms. Apparently around 4 AM my time, the DM, fighter, bard, and sorcerer all came back online and started the game up again. Not just party banter, but actual plot developments. The figure we had to rescue revealed their origins as a god of a destroyed universe, revealing all the realms were slowly collapsing onto one another, hence the cursed objects and strange monsters popping up at random. At least 2 other NPCs showed up, gave their own spiel, then left, and the events tying to the present PC's backstories were revealed. The god revealed several possible locations to search for more rifts to close up. The PC's present decide which to investigate, and the secret session ends. All in all, judging by when the first post that had been made and the last, the session ran at least 3 hours, 1 hour short of regular session time. Needless to say, me and the rogue were not amused. news, pointing out how this was a pretty hefty amount of info and plot that had been dropped that we did not even get to be present for, much less have any say in decisions being made. Rogue is extremely introverted and non-confrontational, and they said that while they understood getting caught up in the moment, it wasn't fair that this happened behind our backs. Me, I was much less polite in calling them out, pointing out that 40% of the party wasn't present for the session, and that if they wanted any input from us, maybe this should have actually let us play. The only response we got were a few non-committal, "Sorry, we got carried away, now we feel bad." As of right now, I don't know what's gonna happen. There more than likely will be a normal session this week, as Rogue will be gone for a family funeral and hasn't said anything in the group since. I told the group I am taking time away and will decide if I want to continue with it all given how I honestly don't feel like an important part of the group, and my character has no reason to continue with them beyond the vague, "The world might explode." I know no D&D is better than bad D&D, but considering that it's pretty much my only socialization outlet at this point, writing it off is hard, assuming it doesn't fall apart on its own at this rate. Not the worst horror story, it just bites hard because it seemed like maybe the downward slope had finally leveled out. Wow, these dudes are inconsiderate. That's the big takeaway. These guys don't care. They seem to have a better connection. When I say them, I'm talking about the Eastern Standard Time guys. They seem to have a better connection together, and they clearly prefer to just play with each other and leave the European peeps out. But yeah, OP, these guys are inconsiderate. They played the game without even thinking about waiting for you guys. Yeah, you should leave. So I'm gonna try to get in contact with you and send you a link to a Discord group, and this Discord server has a lot of games going, and hopefully you can find some friends there that won't just leave you out of the game entirely. So you should definitely leave these guys and just make new friends, man. So what did you guys think about that story? Let me know in the comments below. And with that being said, I'm out of here. This has been Seki behind the screen. Bye guys, have a good one.